here in just a couple minutes. So if you are getting ready, we'll just let a couple more people in here. Probably like 1:02 we'll get started. So. All right, looks like we have the majority of people logged on and ready to go. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily Barbles. I'm the client success lead for the ACO Direct team. And I am joined here by a couple members of our team that are going to go over the importance of a consistent online presence. We do have a chat on the, I believe, the right side of your computer that you can ask us any questions throughout the presentation, and we'll answer them all at the end. It is a private chat, so it won't be shown to everyone. So feel free to ask any questions, and we will address them at the end.
Thanks, Emily, for getting us started. My name is Caitlin Marshall. I am a client success manager here with the ACO Direct team. I work with dealerships throughout the US and Canada. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chelsea to introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea Stoa. I am a PR and social team lead here with ACO Direct, and I work closely with dealerships on your digital visibility, reputation management, and your online strategy. So we'll kind of go over what we're gonna go over today, and then Caitlin and I kind of toss it back and forth here. So what we're going to cover today is really going through 6 key areas. So we're going to look at first the reality of kind of where we're at in terms of buyers. So what we're seeing is buyers really research a lot before they actually call your dealership. And so your online presence is super important because what they're doing is they're looking at all of the places that you're showing up. They're looking at things like reviews. They're looking at how active you are on your social channels, if your Google business profile is up to date. And so they're looking at all of these key areas to see if you are a place that they want to shop for machinery. Secondly, we'll kind of discuss what a consistent online presence actually means. We'll look at what happens when dealerships are inconsistent, and then we'll look at what consistency produces for your business. And then we'll also look at kind of why dealerships struggle to execute this. We know that you guys wear a lot of hats. And so what we're going to do is just kind of give you some keys and some cheat codes to be able to do all these things consistently and well. And so by the end of this, you should know exactly what matters and what doesn't, and then what you can take away to realistically improve your online presence. So what we're seeing is the buying process really starts online. I think you all probably know that by now. But what we're seeing is that farmers research the equipment before they call. So they're looking at dealerships and comparing dealerships, pricing, salespeople. They're also looking at what brands you sell. They're looking at reviews. They're asking their neighbor what kind of experience they had with you. They're looking at your hours. They check your location to see if you are within a service area. And then they're just, again, just doing a lot of checking and looking at your reputation, both online and within your community. We're seeing that younger operators especially rely heavily on online research. And so even if somebody has bought from you for 20 years, their sons and daughters, or excuse me, grandsons and granddaughters are going to be researching you online more before they ever step foot in your store. So that is why it's becoming increasingly important for you to be present online.
So kind of like Chelsea said, nearly every equipment buyer researches online before calling. I myself am one of those researchers, so I pulled together some stats that I thought were interesting about those operators researching before they're calling. 99% of people have used the internet to search for a local business. Of those searchers, 78% of local searchers make a purchase either online or in store. Another stat, 88% of consumers who search locally on smartphones visit or call a store within a day. So search really isn't optional. It is the first step nearly everyone in the equipment buying journey is making. Even loyal customers search for hours, directions, reviews. They're comparing you versus a competitor. Most prospects interact with a dealership digitally before even stepping on a lot. Inconsistency online can create doubt before a salesperson ever even gets involved. And Google is really often that first impression of the dealership.
So like Caitlin said, before they're calling, they're Googling you. So they're looking at things like Fendt dealer near me, Massey Ferguson dealer near me. They're looking for Massey Ferguson service, tractor dealership near me, all of those types of things. And so when they're searching these, what they're looking at is they're looking at your reviews. So again, how are your customers engaging with you? What types of experiences have they had at your dealership? They're looking at your photos and your products and seeing what you have listed on there. They're looking how active you are on your social channels. So are your social channels linked on your Google business profile? Are you replying to reviews? They're really looking at your dealership holistically across all platforms. One thing that we've really seen a lot of is that Google is favoring active and accurate profiles. And so if your profile is inconsistent, inactive, or outdated, it really drops you in rankings organically. So that is something that you really want to focus on, is just keeping that updated, keeping it active, making sure, again, that you're engaging with and thanking people for reviews, and just marketing in every aspect there.
So what exactly does a consistent online presence actually mean for a dealership? So consistency isn't necessarily about posting every day. It's about regular, accurate, and consistent information across multiple platforms. Buyers are checking multiple pieces of information. They're checking hours, photos, reviews, just like Chelsea mentioned. And inconsistency across platforms can break that trust. So consistency is about showing steady, reliable activity online. That buyer journey starts with that research, that search. They're going to then compare dealerships, move into that trust stage, and then finally reach out for contact. So any break in this journey, outdated info, old photos, no review, is really going to break that trust and reduce that trust. And then the operator may or may not even reach out.
So what we see again is, and you guys are going to get sick of us saying this, but reviews are so important right now, especially across all platforms, whether that be Yelp, whether that be Google Business Profile, even your Facebook reviews matter. So reviews really matter more than most of all of us realize. Farmers have always talked to each other, whether that be, for a coffee at the local cafe or whatever it be, but now they're posting. And so they're looking online, they're posting, asking questions, asking for advice. They're going to Reddit to figure out how to fix a certain piece of equipment. They're going to YouTube to find things. And so the more that you can show up in the places and meet them where they're at, the more successful your dealership is going to be. So service department reviews especially influence equipment buying decisions. So if somebody's coming, to buy a huge purchase with you, they're going to want to feel safe. They're going to want to feel like they're going to be taken care of in the future with their service. And they're going to want to feel good about where they're spending their money. So younger operators really trust online reviews. I think we've talked about this before, but even if you go on Amazon and you're going to buy something for Amazon, most people don't purchase anything if it's below like a 4.2 stars. And so the more that you can get your ranking up within Google Business Profile and within those online reputation sites, the better you're going to be. Younger operators trust online reviews the same way older generations trusted word of mouth. So something to keep in mind there. Responding to reviews is super, super important because it shows that you care. So this is both with negative and positive reviews. And then also if we're thinking about Google Business Profile, it also includes star only ratings. So even if somebody just gives you 5 stars and doesn't comment, even thanking them for their rating, thanking them for their business, things like that. But the more that you can engage with them online and outwardly so that other people are seeing that, the better you're going to be. If they're not, if you're not getting a ton of reviews, it's not that your service is bad. It's not that your dealership is bad. It's just a visibility issue. So it's just really asking for those reviews and making sure that you are being seen within those areas. So consistency matters even more during peak seasons. So what we're looking at is making sure that you are updating your emergency service information. If there's a specific phone number they should be calling, making sure you're updating your hours. So if you're closed for certain holidays or your hours are different on certain holidays, making sure that you're going on to all of the review sites and updating that so that there's no question when people have an issue, who to go to or where to go or who to call. And then you also want to make sure that your parts department contact dealers are always clear so that people know, again, who to call when they are in a time of crisis and need help. So during crunch time, as we all know, especially with planting season coming up, one missed call can mean a lot of money and lost revenue for them. And then also for you, if you are not available or you don't have the correct information online for them to get a hold of you, it will result in lost revenue there as well. So an example would just be, if Google says you close at 5, but your website says 4 and Facebook hasn't been updated in months, it creates confusion on what time you actually are open until and who to contact and how to get there, how to get in contact. If your name, address, and phone number is incorrect across review sites, that's also going to create confusion. We really recommend updating your Google Business Profile to show an outdoor photo of your dealership so that people know when they're driving up what to exactly look for. So any confusion causes hesitation. So hesitation, as we know, sends them on to the next dealer. So just making sure that you are updating everything and keeping it accurate and keeping it active. So your online inventory also must match your reality. So making sure that you're keeping that inventory up to date and matches what's actually on your lot. So again, outdated listings can damage trust. So if somebody sees something on your lot that they're interested in, but that sold a couple weeks ago, they're going to lose some trust and feel a little bit duped. So just making sure that you're going in and consistently updating those types of things, making sure you have clear photos because that's going to improve your engagement both online and in your dealership. And then also make sure that you have all of the specs and everything like that updated and consistent. People also look at your website to find financing and promotion offers. So making sure again that you are consistent across the board, whether that be in Facebook posts or Google Business Profile posts, or your website, just making sure again that everything is aligned across each platform to ensure that you are creating trust and avoiding any confusion. So big purchases require big trust, as we know. High ticket equipment is a longer research cycle. So people aren't going to usually just come to your lot and purchase a piece of equipment right away without doing any research, both online with their friends, neighbors, things like that. They're going to go through and they're going to research the equipment before they come there. So again, the more that you're showing up within those areas, the more that they're going to trust that you know what you're doing, the more that they're going to trust that you are somebody that they want to spend a large dollar amount with. They're researching, again, like I said, not only are they asking their neighbors and their friends, they're looking online, they're looking on, review sites, and they're looking on YouTube, and they're asking, what types of equipment, they're asking ChatGPT. And so again, just making sure that you're consistent in each of those areas, you're going to get the people to walk through the door at that point. So buyers really want that reassurance before they reach out. And that service reputation too, the more that you can get the positive reviews online, it's going to drive purchase decisions. So it's going to make them feel connected to your salesman. It's going to allow them to feel like they're going to be taken care of if they purchase a big piece of equipment from you, and they're going to continue to come back time and time again. So the hidden cost of inconsistency is something that's a pretty big deal. So like I said before, if there is an inconsistency in your timing and when you're open, that's going to create inconsistency and a lack of trust. If there hasn't been a Facebook post that has gone out in 8 months, or maybe you've posted, once in the last year, that's going to create a lack of trust. So making sure you're giving a consistent posting cadence across all platforms where you're active. So if you have a Facebook and an Instagram page, making sure that you're posting on both of those, making sure you've claimed your business profile, posting on that. So your Google Business Profile, you can actually post and use it as a social media channel. So you can use the same posts on your social channels, like your Facebook and your Instagram, on Google Business Profile. Again, it just shows consistency. It builds trust, and it allows people to see that you are active and that you care. You also want to make sure that you, again, answer all reviews. And so even if it's a bad review, trying to take it offline. So commenting and just saying something along the lines of, we're disappointed to hear that was your experience. We'd love to have a phone conversation and see how we can make things right. With all of the different places pulling online for things like SEO and GEO and things like that, they're pulling actually from those types of interactions online. And so if you're not replying to your reviews, they're going to show that within their cadence. So just making sure, again, that you are replying to everything and thanking people for everything. And then also make sure that your logos are updated and make sure that they are correct for the platform. So, don't have a super blurry image within your Google Business Profile, because again, it just shows kind of a lack of care within that aspect too. So again, like we said, it can, if there's inconsistency, it can result in your lost service calls, leads, credibility, things like that.
So a quick look at 2 different Google Business Profiles. This is not in the ag industry, but I think we can easily take a look at both of these as a comparison for you as a dealership. So we have, they're both automotive repair shops. The one on the left is Mark's Automotive Care Clinic. The one on the right is Matt's Automotive Service Center. So looking at the 2 of these, this is kind of going to be the same experience as someone doing research in the ag industry. Mark's on the left here has only 2 reviews. Matt's on the right has 592 reviews. So yes, they're both pretty close in ranking as far as number of stars, But having 592 reviews is going to be more reliable as a customer than seeing only someone with 2 reviews. I myself do the same exact thing when I'm researching any type of product I want to buy. If I see a Google business profile, I'm going to trust a profile with a lot more reviews than someone that may only have 2 or 3. Then looking on at photos, Mark's here on the left has one photo that I believe was probably the Google car driving around and snapped this shot. Matt's on the right here has 45 photos between ones that they have submitted themselves or some customers have included in their reviews. Again, seeing them more active, having more images is definitely going to build that trust that we've talked about earlier in this webinar. And then again, going down just a little bit further, it might be hard to see on your screen, but Matt's on the right here has hours, phone number, the website, and that information is all consistent with what they have listed on the Matt's Automotive website. Now looking on the left here at Mark's, they don't include a website at all. They don't really have hours. So it's kind of hard to tell when they're open or how to find out more information. So just making sure, again, that that consistency is there throughout not only your Google business profile, but your website, your Facebook, or any other online place where you have information. Buyers are going to search Tractor's dealer near me and choosing a competitor simply because they appear more active and trusted online. In this situation, personally, I would have chosen Matt's Automotive over Mark's, just simply because they're more active and they're going to appear more trusted than Mark's in this example.
So now we'll kind of go into a few statistics that I think are really important, again, to just drive home what we've been talking about throughout this webinar in terms of your customer care and customer service. So 88% of consumers expect a response within 24 hours. I think we can all relate to that. So if we are sending a Facebook message and we don't get a reply for 5 days, by that point, a lot of people have already moved on. They really want that personalization and they want the quick responses. So again, just making sure, going to your Google business reviews, going to your Facebook profiles, things like that, making sure that you're engaging with people in those aspects. 68% of consumers said they will move on if a business is hard to reach. So again, going back to the consistency across your name, address, and phone number. If somebody is trying to come to you for service and your address is wrong and they end up in the middle of a field somewhere, they're going to likely go someplace else. They're not going to try again. 90% of people polled said that they check several review sites before making a decision. So again, that's review sites like your Facebook, your Google business profile, Reddit, Yelp, things like that. So they're going and they're doing their research before they make that decision. And 22% of people now use tools like ChatGPT to research or find recommendations. So this is something that is going to continue to just skyrocket, I believe, especially with this younger generation, when they're looking for pieces of equipment, service, things like that within their area. A lot of them are going to ChatGPT and AI resources to find those types of things. And then lastly, 74% research personal references before calling. So again, like we said, farmers used to have, coffee and conversations at the cafe. Now they are going online, but they are also asking people like their aunts and uncles, their grandparents, their friends, and they're asking for their advice as well. And so just again, the more you can be consistent throughout the both online and in person, the better off you're going to be. So like I said, the next generation really is different, and we're seeing more and more that they are going and they are doing their own research and that they are expecting quick responses. So they really go and they compare each dealership online, whether they're using ChatGPT, whether they're just looking for the near me searches on Google. They're looking at each one and evaluating themselves before they make that phone call. So like Caitlin said, they look at the photos, reviews, and responsiveness, which I think we can all really relate to. Similar with me, if I'm going to get an oil change, I'm looking for oil change near me. And then I'm looking at reviews and I'm looking at, if they're active and online. And then people are also assuming that digital strength reflects operational strength. So it's just building that trust before they come to you, and before they make that connection with your salesman. They already trust your dealership because they're seeing that their friends trust your dealership. So the perception online really shifts that loyalty and makes them, customers for life.
So what exactly does consistency mean for you as a dealership? So consistency is going to compound over time. The more frequently a dealership appears in search results, reviews, local listings, the more familiar it's going to become to those buyers. With that familiarity, it's going to build recognition. It's going to build that trust, and trust in reality is going to really drive contact with you as the dealership. It's hopefully going to increase those inbound calls, and then in turn, hopefully reduce your reliance on price discounting. One interesting stat I found when putting this together, 78% of local searches actually lead to a visit within a day. So making sure that information you have online, Google Business Profile, Facebook, is consistent like we've talked about and is accurate is extremely important, because if they don't know when you're open, how are they going to visit you within that day?
So again, with your digital consistency, it really is building that trust before they walk into your dealership. So I think that's the best way to look at it. If nothing changes and you don't go in and you update your Google's Business Profile or your Facebook, or you don't reply to reviews, or you're not connecting with people digitally, your visibility declines. So not only because people aren't able to trust what you're doing, they also aren't seeing you on Google search results. So again, going back to Caitlin's example of Matt and Mark, Matt's automotive is going to appear stronger, and he's going to be showing up in more searches because he is active online and he is active on his Google Business Profile. And so younger buyers, again, if they don't get that quick response, they're going to go look elsewhere. However, if you do commit to structure and commit to updating and keeping things active, you're going to eventually receive more inbound calls. You're going to get stronger trust, increased leads. And then again, just you align more closely with the AGCO brand. And so people are going to build that trust with you. And it's not necessarily about doing more, it's about doing more consistently. So again, just remembering that what it takes to execute and how to do so. So when we're looking at kind of what you should be doing to execute this consistently and how to start, like I said, it really requires structure. So you want to look at it like an operational discipline and not optional marketing. So really look at it as something you need to do, not something that you want to do. So one thing that we recommend is really auditing your online presence. And that's something that we do here at AGCO Direct is we will do a free audit for you just to look at your online presence, look how you're showing up and where you're showing up, and then give you ideas on how to make it better. You also want to make sure that you standardize your hours and contact info and branding. So that's across all sites. Again, if you have a Google Business Profile and you're listed as a, machinery dealership, and then on Facebook, you're listed as a manufacturing or an agriculture dealership or whatever it may be, as small as that sounds, that is inconsistent, and it does take away from people looking for you. It takes away from the search results and things like that. So again, just making sure you're consistent across all things: branding, hours, contact information. Step 3 is you should really implement automated review requests. So whether that be asking somebody for a review immediately after they make a purchase or after they leave when they've had service, setting up QR codes within your dealership to leave Google reviews, sending out text messages or emails or whatever it may be, implementing that automated strategy to, again, build your reviews. So even though Matt and Mark were both around that 4.5-ish star rating, people are going to go to Matt's Automotive because they see that they had 592 people and their average rating is that high, whereas Mark had 2 people and he has a high rating. So it just, again, builds that trust and automation. And then, this is something that everybody should lean into, but really assign one person to be the accountable owner. So making sure that one person is replying so that your tone of voice stays the same across platforms, making sure that you're consistent. And so committing to that 90 days of consistency, just to make sure that you're seeing the results that you put in. And so, again, small improvements can compound over time. So it feels like a lot to do, but in reality, if you start taking these small actions, it's going to create big results for you. So consistent actions in your review requests. So again, even putting in the bottom of your email signature, asking for people to leave you a Google review. Putting a hold on your calendar to do monthly Google updates. So whether that be, again, updating your hours, if there's a holiday coming up, making sure that you're listed as closed on there, updating if there are any promotions you have going on, things like that. And then definitely do kind of a quarterly listing audit. So like I said, we will do a free audit for you if you reach out to your account director. But we do recommend revisiting that each quarter to make sure that you're showing up where you want to be showing up and making sure that you're using the correct words and verbiage to engage with your audience. And then lastly, you'll want to make sure that you have your consistent organic social posting. So as important as Google Business Profile and all the reputation sites are, posting consistently on your organic channels is just as important because, again, it shows that you are active. It shows that you care. It shows that your dealership is open. And so making sure that you are consistent within those areas is perfect as well. And so the result, if you really take these if you take these seriously for the next 90-ish days, is you'll get better search visibility. Like I said, you'll get more inbound calls, stronger reputation, and then really look at your leads as well. So these are things that are going to really lead to ultimately more business for you. So your market share consistency just really protects and grows your market share again. So it improves your sales pipeline. It builds trust with the next generation of farmers. It enhances your local visibility. And then it reinforces your AGCO brand standard. So the more that you can apply this across all digital platforms, the better you're going to be in terms of, the connections you make in your customers as well. And lastly, for me, so for when we talk about a review acquisition strategy, you really want to look at a consistent flow. So like I said, with Matt and Mark, the more 5-star reviews you get, the more consistent and the more trust you're going to build. So one great review every few months doesn't really move your rankings. You need to get consistent reviews. So the more that you can implement kind of a steady and structured review request flow, the more trust you're going to be able to build. This can be easily built into your workflow, and it's not something that needs to be remembered just here and there. It's something that you want to continue to build that trust with your clientele. And so, sorry, this one really is my last one. So we do have packages for structured local SEO and visibility support. And Caitlin will go over that here in a minute, but these really are designed to work with you and your workflows. And so, like I said in the beginning, we know that you wear a lot of hats. And so we want to be here to support you and to make sure that you are getting the quality leads and things that you need to move forward. So we look at things like local search keywords, local search phrases, and we build those into your structure. So these are things I think, like I said, that are super, super important, and it may feel overwhelming, but we are definitely here to help and to take that off your plate.
So the first package we have for this local SEO and visibility support is our local basics package. I'm not going to read through all of these, so please reach out to your account manager if you have questions. But we do focus on these 4 main areas that Chelsea and I kind of covered today. The first one being that Google business profile. The second one being local listings management. So that's addressing your name, address, and phone number across multiple directories and making sure those are consistent. Like we've talked about, consistency is key here. Then the last 2 is going to be checking your website for those local SEO basics. Like Chelsea said, we can run that audit for you. And then finally, review monitoring. We've talked about reviews pretty consistently throughout this webinar. And I think we all know by now that it is extremely important to be responding to those. Our team can help set up some auto responses, email notifications, and alerts. And that is all what is included in our basics package. Then we do have a boost package as well. It includes everything we just went over in that local basics package, plus a few additional items that include content and engagement boosting on that Google business profile, helping source some local backlinks, a little bit of an expanded local SEO option, and then helping in generating those reviews that Chelsea just talked through about them being so important. With that, we'll kind of go into some questions here.
So we did talk a little bit about this, about getting, the best way to get reviews. I know you had shown that example of the Lau & Young Google review tap. I'm just going to move back a little bit to show you this. So this is a tap review asset that we actually produce here in-house as well. There's a couple of different options. There's a parts counter one, excuse me, a Massey Ferguson one, and then a Fendt one as well. So you can pick and choose which ones you want to do, and we can get that all loaded for you from our end and then send them to your dealership. So if you are interested in that, you can go to eggco-direct.com and purchase them that way. But what are some other good ways, besides just being like, hey, can you give us a review? Is there anything else that you would suggest to people to get those reviews?
Yeah, so we do have a tool also that sets up consistent asks. So, the best time to get a review is right after you have a positive interaction. So if that is right after service is completed, a parts pickup, a new piece of machinery is purchased, successful delivery, whatever it may be. But making sure that you have your customer base. And then what we can do actually is we can send out anything from SMS text messages to emails to things like that. And what these do is it gives them a link that goes directly to your Google business site, and they can leave a review directly on there. So it really is about that asking consistently. And so what we can do is just make sure that those asks are going out, because it is hard to remember, when you're doing as many things as each of you are, it's really important to remember these things as well. So whether maybe you can have a QR code at your service counter that says, if you had a great interaction, please leave us a Google review. The tap thing, like Emily said, email signatures are great too, a great way to get those. But again, it's just about asking consumers to leave you a review, and don't leave it up to chance, because a lot of people aren't going to go unless they have a very negative experience. A lot of people aren't going to go and leave a review. So the more that you can ask for positive reviews and automate it, the better off you're going to be.
I think that goes right into the second question then. When you're asking for those reviews, maybe you spot a negative review. So what do you do with those negative reviews? You delete them, right?
No, I wish. It's not that easy. So, so we all get negative reviews. I think the number one thing is not to take it personally. Make sure that, I guess one thing is that, a negative review is just not the end of the world. It really actually shows, if you have no negative reviews, it can look a little suspicious even, because it's like, okay, well, why do they only have 2 positive reviews and nothing else? So it can look suspicious to Google. So it really matters on how you respond. So again, respond quickly, ideally within 24 hours if possible. Make sure you stay professional and calm and don't get defensive or argumentative, even if it is a situation that maybe isn't exactly accurate, or the way that they're claiming it is. Again, just don't get defensive. Acknowledge their concern, and then invite the conversation to go offline. So whether that be asking them to have a phone call, asking if they have an email that you can connect with them at, whatever it may be, but just really acknowledging their feelings and then going from there. So I guess an example would be, saying something like, "We're sorry to hear that was your experience. It's not the level of service we aim to provide. And then please contact us directly at whatever your phone number is so we can make it right." So the thing to keep in mind is that you're not just responding for that customer. You're responding for everybody else who reads it. And you're also responding for the AI aspect of it. So again, like I said in the beginning, AI tools are pulling in things like Google reviews and how you're responding. And those are the types of things that are showing across platforms as well. But like Emily said, if it is a fake review or somebody who's not a customer, you can flag it with Google, but I wouldn't rely on that because they're very inconsistent with, how they go about it. So again, just make sure you acknowledge it and reply.
The next question is, how do I claim my Google Business profile?
Sure, I can take this one too. Sorry, Caitlin. So with Google Business Profile, the first step, like we said, you want to audit, and then you also want to make sure that it's claimed. So what that means is that you have it claimed to a verified email address, so that you control the narrative within your Google Business Profile. So even if you haven't claimed a Google Business Profile, your profile is out there. People are still, looking at your address, they're looking at your phone number, things like that. And so you want to be able to control the narrative. So going in, just finding your Google Business Profile by searching it on Google. And then if you haven't claimed it, it will say own this business with a question mark and a link. And you'll want to click on that. And then if it has been claimed, it'll tell you an email address that it's claimed with. If not, you'll want to claim it from there. So again, what you want to do is make sure that you have your logo correct on there. You can add cover photos. Going back to Matt's Automotive, you can add in different photos each month, and just keeping it active and again, updating it there. So it's a pretty simple process, but if you do have issues, you can always give us a call and we can help you with that too.
And then the last question that I see is, and I think this was given or asked quite early in the presentation as well. Do you think that these tips apply to customers around 50 to 60 years old, or would you share specific strategy to reach them?
Chelsea, I can tackle this one. So I think personally, I know a lot of farmers and producers that are actually in that 50, 60 plus range. I have a farming background, so that's why I know a lot in that area. They are actually some of the most tech savvy people I personally know. And if they're not, they are still speaking to their neighbor out on the road that they may run into that is tech savvy and is checking out those reviews, is looking online. It may be that they run into each other at a trade show and they start talking about, well, a dealership's done this, and then the tech savvy producer may hop in and say, you know what, I saw that in a review. Here was what actually happened, and here's how they addressed it. So they can definitely, that word of mouth is still so strong between that 50 to 60 plus range that it's still really important to have that consistency online for those that are tech savvy.
And then another question came through too. Can you set up to have your social posts or posts like you were talking about on your Google Business Profile go directly to your Google profile like they do in Facebook and Instagram instead of having to post the content yourself?
Yep, we certainly can. So we, if you're talking about like your SMP program or anything like that, what we can do is we can have you opt into the Google aspect as well. And that would be part of those SEO packages that Caitlin showed before. And so what they'll do is they'll just automate them to go out across your Google Business Profile. We usually do about 4 a month. And so it's about on average 1 a week.
And if you have any more questions about those local SEO packages, you want to do the free audit, you can sign up for all of that on that landing page like I had mentioned earlier, where the Google review purchasing is as well. We have it all in that eggco-direct.com, or reach out to your customer success manager here at Eggco Direct. Caitlin, myself, Max, and Lexi are all happy to help get those things set up for you and help you out with your Google business profile. And we'll obviously bring in Chelsea as well when that stuff comes around, because she's the smart one when it comes to that. We help facilitate. But thank you so much for joining us. We will have another webinar next month with a different topic, and maybe you'll see some of these same faces. But I appreciate Chelsea and Caitlin. I appreciate your guys' time, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.